Hi, greetings and welcome to this channel. I was very happy when I got the video that I'm going to share with you because I've been wanting to hear a Christafari side of the story as a gospel reggae artist. I must confess, I used to be big in my teenage years and adulthood. I used to love reggae music a lot. So when I found Christafari some years back, after finding Christ, I really dove in there and I really liked what he was doing. But of course, I must confess that I was a little bit taken aback by the name Christafari. I'm saying, why is he mixing Rastafari, and Christianity? But anyway, it's a story for another day. But what I like is how he was able to share his testimony here, being vulnerable and able to share some intimate details about how he came to Christ, right? He forsaking everything else. Like he says in the video that he is no longer now a dope dealer, but a hope dealer. This is what is key to me, that Christ is able to transform anybody. If you allow him into your life, you accept him as Lord, he is able to transform your life. And your life can also become beautiful. It can become a new kind of life that gives hope to other people, because that is why we are here ultimately, that we give hope to other people. So I think most of my friends who know me, they know that I have a soft spot for reggae. Uh, and this was just perfect for me to find someone who is now doing gospel reggae, because now I can no longer listen to the reggae that I used to listen to. No, about Rastafarianism, about weed, about all those kind of things. But with this kind of reggae that is doing, is sharing hope throughout the whole world. And it's a long testimony that I got from the Laffy testimonies, but I will put the link in the description if you want to go and watch the whole thing. I'm only going to share a little bit of it, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, where I want to focus on, so that we can have a discussion on this and maybe you gain something from what we are going to share on here. So I'm going to go there to that video, and let us have a listen, and then let us have a discussion afterwards about what is the takeaways that we can get from this video. So yes, I will go there and just play it and tell me what you think, please.
More. I believe it was genuine, but I'd prayed something like that before many times. So then I go to this guy, Marcus, and I say, dude, I did it, man. I prayed the prayer. I'm so excited. And that Philippians 4:13 pat on the back, you can do all things. Good for you. The high five. Then he pulled open the scriptures, and I'm like, ooh, what's he going to say? And he's talking about an evil spirit going out of a man and going into the wilderness. I'm like, that's dark. Then coming back to the man and finding him swept clean, empty, and put in order, and then going back and getting all his wicked brothers and coming back and dwelling in him. And I'm like, dude, what kind of buzzkill is this, man? You're supposed to give me a high five. You're supposed to give me an attaboy. And he said, no. He said, the key verse in here is empty. If you are empty when you leave here, you're going to be worse than you were before. And that's what happened. That was the difference between the cigarette to the weed, to the weed to the cocaine to the LSD, to the meth, to the crack, to the opium. Every time I prayed that prayer, I would end up being like the dog going back to my vomit, and worse with the same friends, same parties. So I said, so what do I do? Well, you can't be empty anymore. Well, what do I do? You got to read the word every day, 21 days straight. Make it a habit. Quiet time with God. You and him, you fill up. And I did. Think the first day that I broke was about 2 years in. That's not a look at me, glory to me thing. That's how committed I was of, I'm going to do this. And something magical happened in that. I remember hopping from rock to rock at this camp afterwards, just me and God talking. I'm trying to make, like, what do I do? Okay, I got to break up with my girlfriend. I got to call my parents. Got to tell them. I get this letter from my dad with his whole testimony. He never opened up to me like that before, about how he came to Christ and how he wished that I had. And I got to call him and say, I did. And I just got baptized right here in the pool. And they were just over the moon excited. Then as I'm hopping from rock to rock, I felt like one rock was Jesus, and so I hopped to the next one. My favorite thing was reggae, man. I brought it back from Jamaica after I lost my virginity. I started singing about it when I was growing my plantation. I used to sing about how I was a white man Rasta, native Californian. If you had a joint that you don't want, then I will smoke it for you, man. I was that dude. I was the life of the party, the guy who was literally in my high school yearbook. It says somebody was next Donald Trump, the next Michael Jordan. I was the next Bob Marley in my high school yearbook. And here I was singing songs about weed, and I was drawn into Rastafari in my years of using drugs because they were singing about Jehovah, but they were also saying it's okay to smoke weed. So I was like, great, the religion of my choice, of my parents, kind of, and the weed of my choice. But now I felt Jesus saying, no, you put Jesus and reggae together. Jesus reggae, Christian reggae, gospel reggae. That was it. That's what I was going to do. I was going to do Christian reggae. So I come home from the camp. Before I even unpack or anything, I get a call from the high school youth pastor saying, hey, I just heard you came back from JH and I want you to share your testimony. My parents never called him. I don't know who called him. I don't know how he found out. But not even one Sunday comes and I'm already sharing my testimony for all of the junior hires. I was pretty blunt about some of the things I used to do. A little too honest. But then they're like, hey, you want to go to another camp? In 2 weeks, we have another camp. I go, sure, I'd love to. I forgot about Hawaii. Didn't even care about it anymore. When I got home, no longer was I grounded. No longer did I have a curfew. My parents just gave me grace, praise the Lord. And I ran, and I used it as a rope to rescue others rather than tying a noose. So I'm at a camp, and I sit down and have my quiet time, and the cabin leader from my cabin was a bassist for the worship team and a rock band. And these guys were like, they were cool. And so I then wrote a melody during my quiet time. It's like, I got this idea. And then I hear that there's a talent show. And I'm like, okay. Hey, you think you guys can do reggae? We can try. And the bassist looked at me and he said, you're not a Rastafarian anymore, you're a Christafarian. And that was it. 2 weeks into giving my life to Christ, I was committed. I broke up with the girl. I was good with my parents. I was now sharing my faith. And now I'm singing on stage at this talent show. They loved it so much. I go back to church and they're like, hey, sing it on stage at church, at a youth service, in front of the whole congregation. I did. That drug friend that I did all those drugs with, I tried my best to connive him into the kingdom the night before. Got him to pray the prayer, but I think I just forcefully did it. I was such a die-hard, zealous evangelist. But he joined me on stage that night. It was one of those moments where I was like, okay, this is it. Then my youth pastor said, if you're serious, well, let's go and do this at your church, at your school. So I did it for my high school. They teased the crap out of me, saying, sorry, can I say that? They teased the crud out of me. They said, oh, so you're not a dope dealer anymore. No, I'm a hope dealer. You're a Jesus freak back before it was cool. I embraced it. We played a concert at the school. I saw 30 of my friends come to Christ. Wow. Started a Bible study group with all these ex-druggy guys. The funny thing is all the things my parents made me listen to and sit through with all these AA meetings and all this stuff, all of a sudden it was a rotodial. I could just pull from it at any time. Because even though I put up those walls, it didn't return void. And now I was a rescued that has now become the rescuer. And now I had a mission: save my friends. The band said, "Hey, yeah, this is cool for the final show was my birthday, 18th birthday. We did a whole concert, and then they're like, this is gonna be our last. We want you to put together your own band." And my youth pastor's like, "If you're serious, you should go to Bible college. You need to get doctrinally sound." And so, first thing I did after graduating from high school, go on a missions trip to Jamaica, start evangelizing all the Rastas, going smuggling Bibles, bringing them backstage, and giving them out to every artist, thinking, I'm going to get one of them saved, then they're going to change the industry. And we saw a few saved, some big ones, some famous ones. Even Damian Marley prayed the prayer with us, Pato Banton, others. But the problem was they didn't have the discipleship, the accountability, the follow up. And no matter how many times I would reach out to them, tour life is not an easy way to do it. And each time they got picked off by the crows or the thorns or the thistles, the weeds, and it was tough. All the while, I feel God was saying, yeah, you think the solution is these people coming to Christ. You're going to be the artist. If I had one goal, it would be to do Reggae Sunsplash. First tour, Reggae Sunsplash. We did it. 46 cities, 53 days. The lead artist, Buju Banton, tried to stab me with a knife 3 times because of my stance of who Jesus is. It was hardcore. It wasn't easy, but we stayed the course, and we still, 34 years later, still have stayed the course. Well,
That video, I'll put the link in the description, as I've said before. And then you go and watch the whole thing. It's quite packed with information. It's quite packed with how God is able to transform people's lives. So yes, I really like the part where he said sometimes you want to go out there and target the big people, so to speak, who you think should carry your mission forward, when actually God has appointed you for that mission. So you just need to roll up your sleeve and get in there and start doing it. And I just want to have a word for my brothers in Africa, in Zimbabwe specifically, who are so much into reggae music that the trick with the secular reggae music is that it twists the truth about God to fit their narrative about Africa. And that is not the gospel. So they want to glorify a human being, Haile Selassie, a Rastafari, as if he is a god, which he is not, right? And they present him as a descendant of King Solomon, which is true, could be true or not. I'm not going to go into that debate. But the thing is, even if he is, nowhere in the Bible are we supposed to worship a human being. Even Solomon himself was not worshipped. Even King David, we do not worship him. Even Mary, the mother of Jesus, we do not worship. So that is the trick that is there with reggae and Rastafari, because reggae is automatically linked to Rastafari. But I liked what Christafari did with the reggae, with the gospel, and taking it to the nation so that people can get saved. So yes, this is the burden that I had to share with my brothers and, and my sisters who are in the master business, so to speak. It's 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 wise for you to seek the truth for yourself and find God in the true meaning of who God is. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and may God bless you.